Good evening, sim racing fans across the globe, and for all of you that are tuning in for some excitement, you're about to get it tonight as we welcome you to LSRTV live from the Richmond International Raceway in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's time for the final regular season race to make the chase tonight in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. The 3/4 mile bull ring going to play host probably some of the most exciting racing we've seen all season long. And from high atop Richmond International in the Inside Sim Racing Broadcast Tower, good evening. I'm Jacob Seelman, alongside Evan Pasoko and Brian Macklin, as we get set to bring you the call of tonight's event here from Richmond. It's race 23 of 33, gentlemen. This is it. It's time to go. If you're going to make the chase, you all but need a win tonight. We'll get to the contenders in a moment. First, Evan, the breaking news that came out just before we started practice this evening: former champion Chad Cole, due to real life, as Brennan Mercer so eloquently put it in the drivers' meeting earlier today, withdrawing his entry from the chase for the Full Throttle Cup, opens up another spot, and unfortunately, I feel like takes a little bit of the action away from this first round of the chase, because I was really looking as somebody who could make a charge for this championship, and now it's not to be.
Yeah, Chad, sitting into tonight, was 14th at the championship standings, and you'll still see him on track right now, 10th on the qualifying speed so far, but again, he's not going to be competing in that chase for the Full Throttle Cup, so he'll drop out of that 14th position, which was a 43-point advantage that he had over the cut line. Therefore, Nick Silver going to slide up to take 14th. Brendan Mercer will be 15th, and then 16th in on points is Steve Gottschalk. That makes things very close with the likes of Scott Simley and Nicholas Cohan. Cohan would have needed a win to be able to get into the championship. Now he's in striking distance on points, but he and many other drivers would much rather put it in victory lane and to make sure they're safe on it. This one could very easily come down at the final couple of laps before we know all 16 drivers.
It's going to be a storyline we're going to watch all night long, Brian, and the others that we've been following for the last 2 weeks, ever since the last race at Darlington, the new build and dynamic surfaces, if I can use the English language. The first time it's happened here on iRacing, which basically in layman's terms means we start with a green track and we get to rubber up both grooves, which means finally multi-groove racing, a real possibility here at Richmond, a track that's been known for beating, banging, and drivers wanting to stick the car wherever they can find some space. Now they've got it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a really interesting race. This is a big unknown for everybody in this race tonight. Nobody knows exactly what the track is going to do, and the way that RSR has set it up tonight is the track is going to start completely green. Like you said, they're not going to have any rubber. iRacing has given us the option where we can set it up where there is some rubber buildup at the beginning of the race, and it gradually gets more throughout the course of the race. But here with RSR, they decided we're going to start with a green track. They figured the races are long enough that the track will rubber in, the temperatures will get up, and they'll actually be able to move the groove around throughout the course of the race, and it's going to be really exciting to see. These drivers are going to have to pay attention to another big thing. When they're under caution, they're going to have to scrub their tires before they go back green. You get the loose rubber build up on the tires, and it's really going to affect the way that car drives. It's going to cause a lot of wheel spin on the restarts, and it's going to make turn one a nightmare for the people that don't do that properly. So there is certainly a lot of things that these drivers are going to have to prepare for tonight, and I'm not sure all of them are completely ready for it. It's going to be a very interesting race for sure.
Evan, reigning series champion Eric Brundy comes into this race, three-time defending winner here at Richmond, won this race in the spring, swept both races last year. Does he make it 4 in a row tonight and cement a charge for the title?
I'll let you know that he's got the race car to be up there and fight for it. 4th at a practice and right now 6th on the qualifying charts, the 94 machine. No surprise that he has the speed at Richmond. Not going to be easy to go, though, from lap 1 through lap 180 to be able to get the job done. Anything could really happen. However, he's got the speed as well as many other drivers.
There's a lot of guys who have speed. Obviously, we've talked about the Boomtown sim drivers the past couple of races, and, you know, they've been strong on these short tracks. Brian, Richmond, a different animal. This was a track where they struggled in the spring, but momentum's a funny thing, and they come into here with a lot of it. Christopher Hurlow 2 weeks ago cemented his spot in the chase, and I'm not convinced that this is going to be as hard on them as the spring race was, though you know, this is the toughest short track, in my opinion, of the 3 short tracks that we run prior to that 10-race chase kicking off.
Yeah, this is certainly one of the most difficult tracks, and I'm looking here at the qualifying board, and there's really only one of those drivers in the top 10 right now. That's Anthony DeBarro. He's sitting in 5th in qualifying, and he's the only one out of that RCO Boomtown group that's in the top 10. So they have a lot of work to do. I'm sorry, looking at it differently. Corbin Hemstreet's in 2nd. But the guy that I'm looking forward to seeing tonight is Eric Brundy, seeing if he can do 4 in a row.
And the qualifying speed's going to be done, qualifying to a close, and let you know where they're all going to line up for this final race of the regular season with the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series for this final event at Richmond. How about Greg Evans from 9th in practice to the top of the board, the number 23 Chevrolet with a 20.534, going to take the pole position. Outside front row to Corbin Hemstreet in 2nd. How about Dan Murray going to line up on the inside of row 2 in 3rd. A 4th place to Adam Benfield, and Anthony DeBarro rounds out our top 5.
Starting in the 6th position, he's looking for 4 wins in a row here at the Richmond International Raceway, and he is your defending series champion. That's Eric Brundy's. David Comstock is starting 7th. Rhett McBride is starting 8th. Dwayne Vincent still looking for his first win on the season. He's in starting 9th, and rounding out the top 10, starting 10th is the number 98 of David Washington.
Chad Cole enters tonight as a chase driver, though not going to be competing for a championship this year. We'll start from 11th. Alongside him, the Toyota Matt Lacrosse will roll from 12th position. 13th, the number 1 car, that's Thomas J. George. Steve Gottschalk outside him, the Nerf Chevrolet in 14th. And Nicholas Cohen, who is now closer to that cutoff. Got to have a good run tonight. He starts 15th.
Starting 16th, he's going to clinch his spot into the chase just by taking the green flag tonight. That's Jonathan Cadell. Shyler Brown starting 17th. Kevin Linden is starting 18th. Scott Simley is starting 19th. And Mitch Rollo is starting 20th in the number 96 machine.
Thomas Lattimore will start 21st, 22nd for Paul Fugate, 23rd for Jimmy North. It's a P24 for the 43 of Doug Roth. And then rounding out your top 25, the final car to put down a time for the qualifying session, it's the 29 of Brendan Mercer.
The rest of the drivers in the field did not take a time in qualifying. We've got Dylan Jones, Nick Silver, Sean Casto, Christopher Hurlow, Daniel Eberhardt, Scott Stenzel, Rich Jett, Douglas Wyatt, Ryan Vaughn, and Joey English and Evan Roush round out your 36-car field.
And a field goes on the warm-up lap here. We get set to get underway as they cycle down through turns 1 and 2. Field grouped up behind the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang pace car. A little bit of a different look up top of the field here this evening. Pace car going to get the 1 to go this time by Brian. Dynamic tracks, first time we're seeing that within Real Sim Racing on the sim. It should be an exciting race, and obviously that's probably one of the major storylines into tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure all of these drivers are really excited and really nervous about what's going to happen here. And it's going to be an exciting race, watching this track rubber in and seeing how these drivers move around from lap 1 to the end of this race. This track is going to change every single lap from now until they take the checker flag, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Got to tell you what, Jacob, the field rolls down the back straightaway right now. We know the mathematics of it. We know who needs what to get in, but there are so many unknowns this evening at Richmond International Raceway. Pace car now leads the field down into quarter number 3. We get set to look for the green flag.
Yes, we do, and we're glad that everyone here on LSRTV has stopped in and is ready to watch one whale of a fight tonight. Almost ready to go. Field working through turns 3 and 4, and that pace car is going to need to make that hard left turn to pit road because we are ready to go green, and the field going to be in the hands of Greg Evans as we're ready for the final race to start the chase here on LSRTV, and we're going to kick it off with Greg Evans leading the field to the green flag here at Richmond.
And Evans able to get that single file lead up at the front of the field. Hemstreet right behind him in 2nd. Dan Murray sits 3rd. No change within the top 9 cars on that first lap, though. David Washington sliding back 1 spot as Matt Lacrosse gains 2 on that opening circuit. 21 McDonald Chevrolet bumps up the P10.
Coming off turn 4, David Washington's trying to get a run on him down the front straightaway here. So far, not able to do it. And In the early stages of this race, we're seeing everybody get single file. They're waiting for the track to rubber in. This is the cleanest this track is going to be all night long. As they lay rubber out on this track, the groove's going to widen out, and they're really going to have to start searching around for a grip and for a place to run. And right now, everybody through the top 15 or so is single file, and Greg Evans has got about a 2-car length lead. Dan Murray looked like he was going to stick it in underneath Corbin Hemstreet. He was not able to make the move. Now Corbin Hemstreet sets his sights on race leader Greg Evans as they go off into turn 3.
Yeah, the 68I was under attack by the 5, and either he was looking back at the 5 or he was worried about Greg Evans, but he got close to the left rear of the race leader, that time down into quarter number 1. They remain single file for the moment. Not only is rubber getting added to this track, the temperatures going up as to the inside goes Corbin Hemstreet. That's going to be a drag race side by side down the back straightaway. Evans on the outside trying to play the defensive move, but 3 cars down low. Now bumper to bumper to bumper across the start-finish line. This time sideways. Corbin Hemstreet takes lap 6, 3 wide to the bottom. How about Dan Murray going for second?
As they sort out the 3 wide off turn 2, the big winner in that whole situation is Greg Evans. A lap and a half ago, it looked like he was going to fall back as far as 3rd or 4th, and now he's back to the lead as now Corbin Hemstreet is slipping back. He got hung out on the outside now. He's got a big challenge from the inside of him. That's Adam Benfield back in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. He's working his way up, trying to take the 3rd position away from Corbin as they work through 1 and 2. He's going to clear him and make the pass as they come off turn 2. Now he sets his sights on Dan Murray.
And loose handling race cars, a bit of common theme on this new build. Caution flag, trouble down into 1. The number 96 car of Mitch Rollo turned around, heading down in quarter number 1 on the front straightaway. Trouble on lap 6, crossing over to the start-finish line to lap 7. He got sideways coming off of 4, just like what we saw happen about 5 laps earlier to Corbin Hemstreet. Locks it up, keeps it off the fence, but does bring out our first caution flag on the night.
Yeah, and working lap number 8 now here, this first caution. And I think the big story here in the early stages of this race was everybody trying to get in line and start getting this track rubbered up. And now it's going to be very interesting to see if these guys elect to come down pit road. I do understand from talking to several of these drivers that the tires fall off very fast here at this Richmond International Raceway. They were falling off 5 6/10 of a second after just a handful of laps. And pit road was open and nobody elected to come down at the front. So that tells me that they're not ready to give up the track position right now. Greg Evans is still your race leader. He's been out front for the entire race so far, and Dan Murray and Corbin Hemstreet, they gave him quite a battle here in the early stages, but the man I'm looking at now is Adam Benfield. He is moving. He's started 4th. He's moved up into the 3rd position, and certainly looking like he wants to try to come back and maybe steal a win here in this final race before the chase starts.
Evans has been the dominant car here in the early going. I believe Corbin Hemstreet was credited with leading lap 6 via scoring by just ever so much, Evan. And, you know, we're going to see this all night long. If they can ever get that outside groove rubbered up, we're going to see a very much 2-groove racetrack. It's going to make it a lot of fun. Right now, though, with a pretty much green track, that inside lane has been the place to be.
You can see, just looking at the track, it looks like what we're used to seeing, and that is that same gray color on the asphalt from the bottom to the top. That's why when we saw Greg Evans go to the top of the racetrack, as you take a look up high above Richmond International Raceway, this track's not going to look like that at the end of the night. So Evans was up top with no rubber there, and as Brian said, it looked like he was going to go back to maybe 4th, as 3 cars had kind of teamed up, made a freight train on the inside of the racetrack, but then the 69 Hemstreet got sideways. Dan Murray goes 3 wide to the inside, and next thing you know, Greg Evans goes from being in a bad position to on the offensive, got cleared down to 1, and then once again leads this race. It shows you, though, how that outside, not the place to be early, Jacob. Everybody trying to hug in that yellow line, but the guys, they're going to have to start at some point going up the track if you want to get that outside lane rubbered in. The question is who starts to do that and who takes the, I guess, the advantage of that also.
You've got to be brave, Brian, in order to be the first one to move up high and see if you can make it happen. I think that's what's going to make it difficult for some of these guys tonight. One of the guys I'm circling to be a high-side hustler because it's what he's known for is the 1 car, Thomas George.
Yeah, Thomas is one of those guys that if you need somebody that's going to take that risk and go for it, it's going to be him. And being that he's already locked into the chase and he really has nothing to lose here but to try and do something to maybe go and get one more win and get some more bonus points for the first round, I certainly expect that we'll see him do that. But so far, he has not done all that well. He started in the 13th position, and he's currently sitting in the 17th position. So he's been going the wrong direction here early. It's going to be interesting to see if that's just him not really feeling comfortable with the car or if he just got stuck in the wrong line. I didn't really see the battle back there, but I'm looking at Eric Brundy's. He's another one. He's got 3 straight wins in a row here at this Richmond International Raceway. He's started 6th. He's still running 6th. And as the lights go off on the iRacing Ford First Mustang, I think he's going to be a quiet contender, get up there and try to get his 4th win in a row. I'm really looking to see him do that tonight.
We didn't see Brundy's get up to the front very early here in the spring race, Evan, but he was there when it counted, and I think that's what's going to matter tonight. You're going to see, because of the dynamic track, comers and goers this whole race, and I think that's something we really haven't played a lot with here on the iRacing Sim before this new build.
And he's going to be right now in 6th position on the outside. No major changes inside of the top 10. All 9 drivers that started up there still sit there on the racetrack. The pace car going to get down and out of the way. Greg Evans back in control. Green flag flies at 4, back underway. And up to the outside of the racetrack goes to 23, already clear of row number 2. And it's going to be Benfield hard charge on the inside to get the 2nd.
As they work off turn 2, Adam Benfield moves into the 2nd position. Now he sets his sights on Greg Evans. He wants the race lead. As a battle behind them for the 4th position, that's Anthony DeBarro starting to move his way up into the top 4. We have a wreck off turn 4. I do believe that was the number 11 of Jonathan Cadell. He was involved in that 2nd caution of the night.
The 28 of Ryan Vaughn heavily damaged up against the outside wall. The caution flag comes out, and it looks like it is the 28 who's going to be credited with the start of that yellow flag, or the cause of that caution flag, making contact with Chad Cole into the corner. As you take a look at the replay right now, Cole on the back bumper of the 28 has to get checked up. He gets hit from behind by the 51 driver of Shyler Brown. Brown ushers that 8 into the back of the number 28 machine, and at that point Ryan Vaughn gets clipped, gets sideways, and he tried to save the race car, stepped it up the hill, but the race car abruptly jumped up to the outside wall. Pretty good lick on that 28. Looks like some pretty bad engine damage as well. Going to be forced to pit road, obviously, for damage repairs this time by, but still the leader's not diving down quite yet.
Not yet. Under caution here at Richmond International Raceway, Greg Evans has been the dominant car tonight. We've got a lot more racing ahead, so stay with us from Richmond International Raceway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSR TV coverage of the final race to make the chase for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series here at the Jewel of the Commonwealth, as they call it, the 3/4 mile bull ring in the Inside Sim Racing Broadcast Tower. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin, and Evan, as we get set to go back green after our 2nd caution flag already tonight. Not a lot of rubber laid down, and these tires picking up the marbles, really. We just haven't gotten that green flag run established yet.
We were talking under the commercial that the more cautions you get, the lack of green flag runs would mean that rubbering into the racetrack not going to be as drastic. It won't happen as quickly, and then the racetrack could very much be more green than you would expect if you had a long extent. However, we typically see yellows early. I still have a feeling that this one has a lot in store. Again, we're just working lap 18 right now of 180. The iRacing Mustang pace car going to get down to the safety of pit road. Greg Evans again in control of field. On the inside, green flag flies, and how about that? The top three in lockstep with each other. Benfield's still on the outside of one.
Benefield's going to hold out there on the outside line. He's going to try to pinch Greg Evans as they come off turn 2. He's not going to be able to make it work. He's still side by side battling for the lead. Dan Murray's looking like he's going to try to make it a three-way battle as Adam Benefield's trying to work in that second groove. It looks like for the time being, Greg Evans is going to be able to clear him, hold on to the race lead, and here comes Dan Murray looking to the inside of Adam Benefield as they go off into 1. He's going to be able to get to his door. That brings Corbin Hemstreet along behind him there in the 69 machine. Is he going to be able to get in line behind him? It looks like Corbin's going to come with him as they go off into turn 3.
The 5 and out, the 69 to the inside of the racetrack, and I'll tell you what, it was a brazen move by that 01 down to corner number 1. It looked good. He actually had the advantage, so they had to get back to the throttle inside at the upper edge on that one, and he'll be forced to drop back in 4th. A good restart going to cost him 3 spots, as opposed to last time when he had a somewhat decent one and stayed at a neutral level. He falls to 4th, still in front of Anthony DeBarro as the top 5 try to pull some ground on everybody else. But Dan Murray's been up there, and he's been knocking on the door for the race lead all night long. He's not about to give it up. He sits in 2nd. Hemstreet takes a look at Murray for P2. Nothing quite yet, but the top 5, but 1 car length separate each of them in line down to 3.
Yeah, while this is going on up here, we do have a little bit of a battle back behind them. That's Rhett McBride in the number 2 machine, and Matt LaCrosse in number 21, and Nicholas Cohan in the number 53. They have a nice little battle going on for the 8th, 9th, and 10th position back there. Now they've started to sort it out. Meanwhile, back up front, Dan Murray is still trying to get back up to the back bumper of Greg Evans. He, a moment ago, had a shot at him, but he lost a little bit of ground, and right behind him here comes Adam Benefield looking to the inside of Corbin Hemstreet as they work down the front straightaway. He's going to stick his nose in there, and Hemstreet doesn't give him any room. Corbin Hemstreet drove it off real deep into the corner. That allowed him to clear Adam Benefield, and now he sets his sights again. Here comes Corbin, or Adam, and he blocks him again as they go off into turn 3.
Yeah, 01 looked to the inside. The 69 made the left-hand turn into the quarter, blocked that lane back-to-back times. Saw a similar thing a little bit further back in the pack with the likes of the 03 of Thomas Lattimore. Lattimore's forced up to the outside of the racetrack in 13th. The 98, the 99, and company all going through on the inside of the racetrack and trying to go on. That 01 machine, though, not going to take too kindly to the block, Brian, albeit 25 laps into 180, so I don't think he'll quite give him a tap yet, but you might get away with that in the opening quarter of a race on Adam Benefield. You're certainly not going to be able to pull that one late, and Hemstreet, you can tell he really wants to keep that track position.
Yeah, Corbin wants to get another win going into the chase and keep carrying that momentum that RCO Boomtown has had for the last couple of months. They have been on a roll the last couple of months. As Benefield gets loose off turn 4, he saves it, and that opens the door for Anthony DeBarro to get underneath of him. He's going to have to fall in line behind him. He'll fall in line in front of Dwayne Vincent. Now he falls back to the 5th position. But as I was saying, the RCO Boomtown cars have had a ton of momentum, and they want to carry that into the chase, and what better way to do it than to try to win? As we have another caution out on the racetrack. I don't know. Oh, big wreck on the back straightaway. The number 51, Jonathan Cadell is involved. The 15 is involved. Doug Roth in the 43 is involved. Huge wreck down the back straightaway.
And this comes just as Adam Benefield went for the crossover to try to take that number 4 spot back. The big one strikes at Richmond. All starts with the number 91 car on lap number 27. Got shot going down the back straightaway into number 91 Nerf Chevrolet. Coming out of quarter number 2, contact in front of him. Those 2 cars able to hang on to it, but he gets checked up, gets hit from the back end, and the 87 hooks him around, and that track was absolutely blocked. As you take a look at the LSRTV replay in just a moment, the 8, the 15, the 43, the 42, just to name about a third of the race cars involved in that one, the 51, the 11, the 48, and company. At least a dozen race cars ran out of room down in quarter number 3, Jacob. You said it's a bull ring, and very quickly those walls shrunk up on everybody else trying to get through that one.
Yeah, they did. Pit stops underway. Leaders are in, Brian. They're in front of us here in the tower.
Yeah, all the drivers have come down pit road. It looks like Brennan Mercer may have taken 2. We're going to go back and look on that. He either took 2 or he missed his pit box, 1 of the 2. Greg Evans is going to get 4 tires down and away. He's going to win the race off pit road. Dan Murray's going to be right behind him, then Corbin Hemstreet, Adam Benefield, and then Anthony DeBarro is your top 5 cars coming off pit road.
And Brendan Mercer did not come down pit road and to complete that service. He just pulled a drive-through, so he'll come back down this time and recomplete said service. So Greg Evans, you would think, being that first car off the race on pit lane, would go to the top spot. However, Eric Brundy's in a number 94 White Castle Ford, Jacob. He asked if he can get it done yet again. He does not come down pit road with everybody else. It'll give him the top spot.
He did the exact same thing in the spring, and it took him to victory lane. So, Brian, we're getting towards, what, lap 29 now, and Brundy's going to go to the top spot. So this just got fun. This just got really fun.
Yeah, back in the spring when he did this, he stayed out and got off sequence with the rest of the field, and when he did that, he was almost impossible to pass the rest of the night. He stayed up in the top spot, I believe, for most of the race, and obviously ended up coming home to victory lane. So I think he's believing that he can do it again. It's going to be a little interesting, though. They had about 6 or 7 laps on the tires with that run. I don't know if that was enough to hurt the tires any, but it certainly could have gotten some rubber on the tires now that he's under caution. He's going to have to make sure he gets some tires scrubbed off just a little bit. That way he doesn't have any wheel spin on the restart, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the rest of this field can do with him. This is the first time we have seen anybody take this chance with this new dynamic surface, so this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the restart.
Evan, are you surprised? I'm not. We knew Brundy's was going to take a shot at this because it's his best track statistically of any track in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Look at the onboard for Rich Jett, the 36 car as well. Oh, Brian, those the onboards and the rig got hooked up for LSRTV, getting an inside look. Jonathan Cadell was one of those as well before he was caught up in this big one. I thought we only used the words big one at Talladega.
Well, we saw one already. The field cuts down to 25 on the lead lap. Pace car down, and Brundy's already on the accelerator. Green flag flies back underway we go. Absolutely no hesitation for the White Castle Ford Fusion to the top spot. Greg Evans on the outside can't hang on to P2 though. Murray on the inside going to take it, and look at that 01 now. Benefield from the outside last time to the inside. This time a role reversal between the 01 and 23.
Yeah, as they come off turn 4, Dan Murray is there. He caught Eric Brundy's in just a lap, and now he looks to the inside. Eric Brundy's gets a little defensive as they go off into turn 1. He throws a slight little block there. Dan Murray, with those fresh tires, though, is going to work him over as they come off turn 2. He peeks to the inside. He's going to be at his door as they go off into 3. Brundy's again shuts the door. They almost made contact as they go through 3 and 4. Dan Murray is all over the back bumper of Eric Brundy's. Now he looks again down into turn 1. This time he's going to get there. Eric Brundy's has to give him the inside line as they go through 1 and 2.
When Brundy's drove it a little bit harder on the outside to keep that position. When he did so, it also affects that car on exit. Brian driving it harder in. It gave the advantage to Dan Murray, and this time by at lap number 35, it is going to be the number 5 leading for the first time tonight. So Murray to the top spot, and here comes Adam Benefield. You mentioned that he made a good run on that first stint of the race. Well, now to second, and he's got company as well because the 69 to Corbin Hemstreet will follow him through. Hemstreet going to get cleared for third, now down into corner number 3. Now the 23 of Greg Evans takes a shot at the 94. The 13 wants a shot at him, not going to be enough, and a 94 finds refugee status in front of that 13 of Dwayne Vincent.
Yeah, I think what we've seen with Eric Brundy's here in this early gamble is that this is not going to work. He has dropped all the way back to the 5th position in just a handful of laps, and he's going to lose several more before this is all said and done. His best hope is that we can get a caution after about 10 laps. That way he doesn't fall too far back, and then everybody's going to come back down the pit road. As now Dwayne Vincent looks to the inside. He's going to be able to get to his inside. That's going to shuffle Eric Brundy's on back to 6th. Anthony DeBarro and Matt Lacrosse are right there looking to pounce, and Anthony DeBarro is going to make the move to the inside. That's going to move Eric Brundy's on back to the 7th position now as they come off turn 4.
And sometimes those tires get a little bit heated. It's very difficult to catch back up with pace, but Donnie Formish, it appears to just be kind of rattled a little bit. Needs to get back in a couple of laps to get some rhythm flowing. The 21 to the inside of Matt Lacrosse trying to put the move on for 7th on track, and he'll do so. Tell Lacrosse got awfully close to the outside wall, catching him at a 4. Kept it out of it, though. It's going to be enough of a run to make the pass, and he'll now bump up to 7th. Brundy's now falls to 8th on the racetrack, just like that, again with no tires after staying out to take the race lead. Battle for the top spot to the inside goes the 01, not going to happen, and caution behind them.
Yeah, Nicholas Cohan got loose off turn 2. He spun in front of the field, and then we had a couple of guys pile in. Brennan Mercer came in late. He had nowhere to go and hit the 53 machine and then propelled into the inside wall, and that's another caution now on lap number 40 of this race. That might have saved Eric Brundy's right there, because now he's going to have an opportunity to come down the pit road and get some tires.
So caution just about at the 1/4 point of this race. 40 of 180 complete. We got more ahead right now. Here's some words from some of our sponsors, and we're back with more in a moment from Richmond International Raceway. This is Live Sim Racing TV.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV Under Caution for the 3rd time in tonight's final race to make the Full Throttle Chase. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Brian Macklin in the Insight Sim Racing broadcast tower at Richmond International Raceway. Evan, let's analyze this a little bit more for a second. This 3rd caution, really a game changer for a few of those guys fighting for the last couple spots on point. The 53 and the 29, Brennan Mercer, Nick Cohan, both involved in this.
And Brennan comes into this, initially 30 points over that cut line. But again, we talked about Chad Cole with the drawing. So that gap a little bit larger, but not by much at all. And what that's going to mean is that he said before, all he's got to do is finish tonight. Well, the bad news is that that car had engine damage. He's 3 laps down right now in P26. Probably don't want to cut it any closer than that, but should be good for the most part. There is always the possibility, though, that a driver that is sitting top 30 in points without a win, back from 16th position, get a win, and therefore that gap that you're looking back and that we're equating all of these points to back to the cut line, that could be an entire spot off. So Brundy Mercer right now, if his night is indeed done, is hoping we don't see a first-time winner.
That's exactly what he's hoping. If you see a first-time winner, Evan, who are you betting?
Pace car gets down and away. Dan Murray's going to get on the loud pedal. Green flag flies, and act underway we go. Everybody with a pretty good start except for the 21. Fourth in line on the inside of the racetrack. The 01, the 23 on the outside, trying to pinch him down and find a spot in line, but it looks like Corbin Hemstreet, Brian, the 01, they fight for second right there. And Benfield's actually doing a fairly good job on quarter entry, but exit is where the outside doesn't necessarily have the advantage that you would expect.
Yeah, and as they come through turns 1 and 2, Corbin Hemstreet's going to make the pass on Adam Benfield. That's going to take the second position away, and now he sets his sights on Dan Murray as Greg Evans is trying to work his way back up through the field. He fell all the way back to the 5th position at one point. He's moved back up to 4th. He's also trying to get back up there. He was your pole sitter and led a lot of laps early. We have a lot of contact back in the middle of the pack here. Anthony DeBarro has got a blown motor. There was heavy contact down the front straightaway.
Big damage on Anthony DeBarro. He'll drive to the apron down the back straightaway, and he is pit road bound. Contact, he got cross-checked into the outside wall. Matt Lacrosse sideways, steps it up the hill to recover, and that 9 just shoots into the outside wall. Got the front end up in the air a little bit. Good news for the 14 is that Comstock did not get involved. Jacob, at the 9 car really torn up, and he's forced down pit road. We take a look at a replay.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay right now, and that is not what Anthony DeBarro wanted to see here at Richmond. Very unfortunate for the driver of that number 9 that his night looks like it's going to come to an end just like that. All the while we hit lap number 5, and Dan Murray continues to pace this field out in front, but I wouldn't look now. But Evan, Corbin Hemstreet, that 69 car is coming back on him. It's less than a car length. The battle for the lead.
And that 69 is exactly where he started, but he has not been second all night long. Dropped back a little bit and has been picking his way back through the field, sitting in a comfortable position in second, but nothing's really all that comfortable when you're in front of Adam Benfield. The 01 has shown that he's not afraid to get scrappy tonight, and that's part of the reason why he's gone up from 4th position to 3rd where he runs right now. And we know that the 01 machine is also pretty fast. The top 4, top 5, all the way through Greg Evans and Dwayne Vincent, they're not getting away from each other at all, still glued in this pack of 5 cars up front.
Yeah, and this pack is quickly away from the rest of the field. Benfield sitting there in 3rd in that Chevrolet SS, waiting to see if he can't make a move. Hemstreet wrapping on the back bumper of the 5 of Dan Murray. Is Anthony DeBarro going to blend back in on the bottom of the racetrack? Going to let the leaders go by as we work lap number 53. Murray washes up the racetrack a little bit off turn 4. Street's going to have a run, maybe peek to the inside towards 1. Now he goes topside.
Took a peek to the inside, outside. Now caution flag will fly before he can do anything with it. Trouble down to turn 1, and it's the 21 of Matt Lacrosse turned around and torn up. Again, we just saw this 21 Jacob get sideways at a 4, and the unfortunate victim after all of that was Anthony DeBarro. This time the 21 gets the worst end of it.
Yeah, he does, and that's some hefty damage now for Matt Lacrosse as well, who brings out the 4th caution flag of this race. Just 54 laps in. We were hoping it wasn't going to be a case of yellow fever tonight. Unfortunately, we now see it happen once again. A long way to go, though, and for Matt Lacrosse, he's one of those guys that I think you really would have hoped might have been in contention for a win. He needed that for chase contention tonight, and now that's going to be done. Leaders are on pit road, Evan. Dan Murray leading the train down.
These drivers coming down for service. The 5 leads us in, followed by the 69, the 01. Greg Evans comes down pit road 4th. We'll have the advantage of having the number 1 pit stall. We'll see if the number 23 Chevrolet can pick anything up from that. With just 40 miles an hour, a crawl down at the pit boxes for the second time tonight for the majority of these drivers. Dan Murray comes down as the race leader. Right side tires going up on that number 5 Toyota Camry. Left side tires as well. It'll be 4 tires, gas, and go for Dan in that number 5 car. The race off of pit road, no change to 23. How about maybe second? 3 wide though for that P2 spot at the stripe.
That was tight. And as we wait for that to sort out, we're going to do a little bit of business and come back for the restart in a moment. From Richmond International Raceway, this is LSRTV and coverage of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV, just back to green flag racing here, coming up on lap number 60 at Richmond International Raceway, actually completing lap 60. Eric Brundy's stayed out to assume the point, which he has done, but a terrible restart, Evan. 5 of Dan Murray restarted about in the second row and now has fallen all the way back into the clutches of Adam Benfield and Dwayne Vincent. That's a battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, and I think Murray finally going to slot in that number 6.
Yeah, so he'll lose 4 spots, and pretty much that first lap off the green flag just got caught sleeping, didn't get back to the accelerator as fast as Eric Brundy's did, and Brundy's has been going quicker on the drop to the green flag than anybody else in 5 machine, losing into that one. He falls to 6. Meanwhile, race for the race lead, though, the 69 to the inside. Him Street going to get through. He'll bring Greg Evans with him. They'll be door-to-door off of the back straightaway for P2. Over the race lead goes well to the 69 car.
For first time tonight, actually check that, the second time tonight that Corbin Himstreet goes to the top of the leaderboard here at lap number 63. He led lap 6. He now leads 63 and jumps to the point as Greg Evans moves into that number 2 spot.
And Evans going to be able to get through, as you said. He's clear. Brundy's now settles down in 3rd. We saw this last time, though, but the number 94 machine got to the race lead, stayed out, fell back to about 8th position before he could really stop the bleeding. He's 3rd right now, but he has that aggressive machine of Adam Benfield behind him. The 01 with the run down the back straightaway, nose to the inside. 94 knows he probably shouldn't have tried to block that move, and he'll make it side by side for 3rd.
Yeah, Brian, and I'll be interested to see how Corbin does now out front. That 69 car, when you give it some clean air, boy, he can be a force to be reckoned with, and I think he's had a fast car all night long, just maybe hasn't had the track position until right now.
Yeah, track position is so critical, and especially here at Richmond, you need track position pretty much here more than just about any other track on the schedule, and he's got it. He's got a good lead here. He's up to almost a half a second lead over second place Greg Evans. Of course, Greg Evans was your pole sitter, and he was very fast in practice as well. He was up in the top 10 on practice for here tonight, and he's trying to run him back down, and it's going to be really interesting. It looks like we may have finally gotten into what could be a long green flag run, which is going to allow this track to heat up and allow rubber to build up onto the track, and this is when we're going to see a big change in the track, and we might start seeing the groove widen out and see these drivers start searching around. I'm actually starting to see the track get a little bit darker in the corners. That means the rubber is starting to build up a little bit, and as it starts doing that, you're going to see these guys start searching around more and more throughout the rest of this race.
You don't know how excited I was, Evan, when they announced this changeover, because this brings the true test of a sim racer's skill out. It makes the realism as good as it's ever been on this service, and it's going to really, I think this change is starting to bring out the drivers as opposed to those who just figured out the car and rode with it. This now turns it into as much a mental game as it does just being good behind the wheel and good at controls, because you really got to think about how you play this on the racetrack.
Absolutely. This build included a lot of stuff, including the easy anti-cheat software prevention as well in the sim, but we had tire fall off. That's been a thing on the sim, so drivers had to be conservative in that regard. But you're right, sim racing has changed in the last week. It's never going to be the same, because with these dynamic racetracks, you got rubber putting down, you got the track temperatures changing. Guys can go up a little bit higher and work in a groove. The track does change from the start of the race to the end of it, and a lot of feedback from guys that we see, fast guys that are up front. They said they like it. They're not that good at it because they have to take some time to figure it out, but even though they're not good at it right now, they know that they're going to continue to work on it, and as you said, it's going to give a driver with a little bit more of a methodical and strategic approach to this race, going to give that driver a little bit more of an advantage as opposed to somebody who goes out there, turns the wheel left, and tries to put down hot laps every time.
Corbin Himstreet in a lap on the 21 of Matt Lacrosse as we cross the stripe. Greg Evans still that same 6, 7, 8 car length gap back to the number 2 position. The John Deere machine, Brian, not able to get any closer, but he's not really getting any further away right now either. So you have to wonder really how hard Corbin's running out front. Maybe he's got a better car than he's letting on.
Yeah, I certainly think Corbin's got a really strong car here tonight. He's just pacing himself right now. It doesn't look like he's really running the car as hard as he probably could, because earlier on in the race when he was battling through traffic, I saw him being a lot more aggressive. So I certainly think he's got more in the car than he's showing right now. And that's going to help him in the long run. You save those tires, you keep the car clean, and he's pulling away. He's just put another 10th between him and Greg Evans. So even though he's pacing himself, he's pulling away, and that's going to be a big deal for him here as we start getting into this run here. He's starting to work his way through some lap traffic. He just put Brennan Mercer a lap down. He's about to put Chad Cole a lap down. Chad was involved in one of the bigger wrecks earlier on in the race. So he's certainly got this in his advantage right now, as he actually lost a little bit of time because he was lapping cars. But I'm certainly excited. I love seeing this dynamic surface and seeing the track rubber up. This is the best thing that iRacing could have ever done, and this is going to make the racing so much better.
Ooh, a little bit of a shot to his RCO Boomtown Sim teammate, Christopher Hurlow. Corbin says, "Squeeze me, coming through." Lap 76 goes on the board. Himstreet now almost 3/4 of a second in front of Greg Evans. And, you know, I'm not counting out the guy in third, Adam Benfield. Evan has been stalking that 23 car for about the last 10 laps. It's like he's just waiting right now.
And if the 23 saw how aggressive Benfield was driving a little bit earlier when him and the 94 were having some games inside the top 5, you don't want to hold somebody like that up. And what we're seeing now is Himstreet's really starting to pull away from Greg Evans. That gap now to 0.8 of a second could very well be a second plus within the next couple of laps. You have to ask yourself, is Greg Evans now holding Adam Benfield up? Because if you're tucked up on somebody's bumper like that 01 is, it is going to be harder to pass. Your car's not going to handle as good. So as P1 gets further and further away from second, Benfield knows that although it may not be the final nail in the coffin as they try to work around some lap traffic, and this is going to make things interesting, you want to keep that guy in front of you in as close contact as you can. So if the tires continue to wear in the long run, maybe you have a longer green flag stretch car, he is still within striking distance. Hemstreet does lose a 10th there navigating the lap cars, but the 01 he's watching, and if he feels like Hemstreet's getting too far out in front, he'll make something happen.
Oh, he will make something happen. He's not afraid to, and we've seen it so many times out of that 01 car. Brian, Adam knows that the only lap that pays big dividends is the last one. You're not going to win a race with 100 laps to go. You're going to win a race making a pass in the final 10 or 15 laps. So he doesn't want to burn his stuff up too soon. I'm a little nervous that the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet may be burning his stuff up a little too soon. Greg Evans starting to close back in. It's down to 6 car lengths.
Yeah, I was actually just watching that, and a couple laps ago, it looked like he might have gotten into the corner a little hot, which if you do that and you slide those tires, you heat them up, and it's going to take a few laps as Hemstreet gets loose out of the lead. He actually is going to lose the lead. He got loose off turn 2, and Greg Evans is going to take the lead. He slides up and makes contact with Adam Benfield as they come off turn 4, and what a big moment for Corbin Hemstreet. He did an incredible job saving it. He's very lucky he only lost a couple of positions because that could have ended very disastrously if he hit the inside wall.
Did I not just say it, Evan? Don't beat yourself. Maybe not in those exact words, but that's what you've got to keep in mind. This is a long race. 180 laps may not seem like it, but for these guys it is, and you can't have mental mistakes like that if you want to put a victory in the column tonight.
We see sometimes a race leader, they go out there, and because they don't have anybody in front of them, it's kind of hard to gauge what you're doing and how fast you're actually driving that car in comparison to somebody else. Most of the time, that means that you're allowing guys behind you to catch up, especially at a track like Richmond where you're waiting for that car to rotate in the corner to get back to the gas. In this case, Hemstreet not being able to base the speed off of everybody else, just got back a little bit too soon, and then when you try to give it that little bit more wheel, evidently things don't work out. He almost came back up and took out Benfield, and he does fall to third, but I'll tell you what, he's lucky that he's still in this one because not all the guys have not had quite the same amount of forgiving luck if they've gotten sideways earlier tonight, especially in front of cars. He's already, though, closing back in on Greg Evans, who still sits in front of Benfield. Benfield's been tucked up the back bumper for the last 15-20 laps. The gap's still just about half a car length.
Yeah, keep an eye on the 01. I told you, before the end of this race, he's going to flip the switch from stalk to kill. And here he goes, looking to the inside. Benfield, battle for the lead in turn number 1. 87 laps going up on the board. And the 01 Chevrolet making the move. Evans holds him on the high lane for now. Benfield sails it off into turn number 3. They're going to be wheel to wheel off the end of turn number 4. Evans gets it at the line by 15 1/1000ths of a second, but it's not going to be enough by the time they get to turn 1. Here goes the 01 Adam Benfield to the point.
And a 23 made a smart decision there, Jacob. He could have thrown it back on the outside, and he's actually done quite a good job of doing that so far tonight. Stayed side by side with that number 01 Sheet of Benfield for an entire lap. But if he threw it back in there on the outside, the 69 would have gone to his inside. He checks up, tucks back in line, and as we look high above this battle for the top 3, who are 3+ seconds away from everybody 4th on back, Jacob, we're starting to see that line become visually rubbered in on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is getting good now. We are coming up next time by. We'll see crossed flat flags and be halfway home as it's a 3 breakaway. Benfield, your new leader, Greg Evans, 2nd, Street in 3rd, as Eric Brundy's and Dylan Jones are now 3 seconds back. This battle for the top spot. Halfway, 90 of 180 laps are in the books, and with Adam Benfield out front, he's looking to play spoiler tonight. From Richmond International Raceway, this is the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. And stay with us.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good. Be a lion.
Welcome back to LSR TV, closing in on 100 of 180 laps complete. Adam Benfield still your race leader. Greg Evans, Corbin Hemstreet giving chase, and they've got a 4-second buffer over the 99 of Dylan Jones, 98 of David Washington. The Stroker Aces rookie teammates in 4th and 5th. And Evan, taking a look at the action so far, boy, we've had more things to show a replay of tonight than you can shake a fist at.
And I think it's just getting started. Once we hit lap 100 here, 2 more circuits around RIR, it's going to get a lot more fun. And again, we saw a lot of cautions early, so we kind of expressed the point that if we don't get very long green flag stretches, this racetrack not going to get rubbed in. But again, you come to expect a couple of yellows early. Guys got to try to spread things out, find out where they kind of fall in line. And now we're getting that very long green flag stretch, possibly all the way through pit stops, which again would extremely change the aspect of this race. Find it interesting, though, that Corbin Hemstreet Jacob was pulling away when he was in front of Greg Evans, and Evans sat in front of Benfield. Now that Benfield leads and Greg Evans falls to second, Hemstreet, although he's not slipping off, he's not had the speed that he had before. A couple of things that can attribute to that. Not only one is he's no longer in that clean air, but as well he could have heated those tires up when he got sideways.
He may well have. He's holding on to less than a second back of the race leader right now. And, you know, these are two camps. They're almost teammates. They're not officially teammates, but Benfield definitely giving some help to the rest of the Boomtown Sim camp and taking some help in return as he currently leads this race, putting another lap on Christopher Hurlow, going to put him 3 laps off the pace now. Hurlow got some damage earlier on in this race, riding 21st right now. Ryan Vaughn in the 28 back on the racetrack. But these top 3 have really broken away from the field, though. Now that David Washington, Brian, has gotten to 4th, he's started to pull away from Dylan Jones, Dan Murray, that pack that's 4 seconds off the lead. He's made up half a second on your 3 leaders and starting to close that gap just a little bit. It's down another 10th this time by. He's the fastest car on the track.
Yeah, he's doing a really
good
job.
Trouble, back straight away. Ryan Vaughn down to the inside, spins it, gets it all the way to the 8, and holds on to it. The 28, I don't think going to bring out a caution, but lap 103 goes on the board, and Vaughn, a screen moment, kept it out of the racing groove, and we stay green.
But I'll tell you what, he wasn't on the gas for long. As soon as he picked the throttle up, he saw himself drifting up out of the line and immediately knew that he got back to it too soon. Let off the throttle, Jacob, but at that point, nowhere to go. He hit the wall pretty hard, spun down to the inside, and Brian, not a lot of the time are we going to see somebody spin, hit into the wall here at Richmond, and not trigger a yellow. There's not a whole lot of apron space. Good news for the race leaders, including Adam Benfield, is no caution flies, as you see the replay of that incident there, and he's able to continue to try to pat onto that lead, just about 7/10 of a second that time by. Lap 105 goes into the books.
Yeah, and to go back to what we were about to talk about, David Washington is slowly starting to chip away at this race lead. He's got the lead down from a 4-second gap to a 3.2-second gap. He's still got a long ways to go, but he has broke away from the group behind him of Dylan Jones and Dan Murray, Dwayne Vincent, and David Comstock, and he's starting to inch his way up there. If this thing stays green, he could get there. As we're looking here again, he's going to knock off about another, well, actually only a couple hundreds that lap, but he's been consistently the fastest car on track over the last 10 laps and has done a really good job at saving his tires. And maybe now this track is finally getting to a point where he's happy with it and he can go up here and start making the moves he needs to make. With this new dynamic surface and the way this track rubbers in, you're going to see a lot of comers and goers. You're going to see guys that don't have a good handling car when the track is green, but now that it's getting rubbered in, you might see them start moving to the front.
Well, the top three continue to dominate this race. The gap to fourth is still 3.1 seconds. That's David Washington, the number 98 Toyota Camry, one of the drivers with a win so far this season. However, not inside the top 30 in points. He, along with Pedro Mojica and Harrison Weidland, going to be amongst the names that have a win, but will not be able to qualify for the chase for the Full Throttle Cup in this 2015 championship. Still out there, still trying to get good runs. Brundy, we saw when the number 14 of David Comstock entered this series, showed up around chase time, not championship eligible, but ran those final 12, 11, 10 races and was competitive and made a statement. That's what David Washington still has to fight for.
Yeah, he can certainly do that in this segment here, as he's going to have an opportunity to go up here and challenge these guys and go for wins and show these guys that he's got the respect of them and go out there and prove that he can be a championship contender. And so far through the first few races he's been in this series, he's done a great job at doing just that, sitting up here in the fourth position. And speaking of David Comstock, he's had a very quiet night. I was just looking back at him. He started in the 7th position. He did not have a very good lap in practice. He was only 16th in practice, and he's moved up into the 8th position right now. This is another driver that is really going to have to do some adjustments to the way he drives. We know how consistent he was before the dynamic surfaces, and he's typically been a top 5 driver, but he has not been that strong here tonight so far. I'm certain that he'll get it figured out and get up there, but he's struggling so far through the first stage of this race.
He's struggling right now, but again, Brian, we've seen that happen before. He always dials it in when it counts. And what I was watching a minute ago was back a few cars ahead of them, about 5 seconds ahead of them, where Corbin Hemstreet got all the way to the back deck lid of the 23 of Greg Evans in the battle for second, and that 69 Evan gave Greg a shot, and Greg said, nope, I'm not going anywhere. And Corbin, he had to back off finally, otherwise he was going to pile drive the rear deck lid of that 23 and give them both some pretty good damage. He's 3 car lengths off now, but all the while David Washington is slowly closing in. Before too long, it's going to be a 3-car battle for second. The 98, again, the fastest car on the racetrack.
And he's flying up to the field. We've been talking about him, and not only is he closing in on Evans and Hemstreet, Jacob, sometimes you'll see that, and it's really just because those guys are falling off at leaders, but his overall gap as well is closing down to 2.5 seconds off of Adam Benfield. We talk about pacing yourself. We talk about making the car last throughout a run. The 98 has come from 10th to 4th position, so evidently he's done a very good job at doing so. Take a look, though, just behind that number 98. How about the 99 of Dylan Jones? The Steel Timber Sports Chevrolet, 5th on track right now. That is up just about 21 spots from where he started this race without even a time in qualifying.
Yeah, he started on a provisional, and he has just flown through this field. But again, Evan, these two, David Washington and Dylan Jones, are what I call the star rookies of this segment. I mean, they came in start of segment 3 basically to help the Stroker Aces go after the team's championship after losing John Abbott and losing Harrison Weidlitz to various unsundry reasons. But these two rookies have not driven like rookies. They have absolutely driven like seasoned veterans. Washington had that win at Michigan. Dylan Jones has had a couple of podiums. I mean, it's hard to look at them and go, okay, they've only got 6 or 7 start in the league because they drive like they've been here 2 years. And you look at Washington now, he's closed almost right up on the back deck lid of Corbin Hemstreet for 3rd.
You know, we're on board with Hemstreet in 3rd, looking up at Greg Evans, but, you know, you mentioned that, and that goes right back to the point that we were talking about with the 14 of Comstock. Comstock storms onto the field, and, you know, you may be new to RSR, but you're not new to the sim. You have a lot of experience, guys. Talking about the guys like Pedro Mojica and company, David Washington and friends who come into the series late, and they win in their first couple of starts because they have that experience level. Now what they're going to be doing, although some of them not fighting for the championship like we saw the 14 do one season ago, is starting to get used to what everybody else is doing. You got to get familiar with the other guys you're racing against, and then you'll get in a lot more of a comfortable position as Washington continues to close in on that battle for right now in second and third.
We're going to the blimp cam here, get a look from high atop the Richmond International Raceway. But Brian, you referenced, said to me just a moment ago that David Washington taking advantage of this groove starting to widen out. He's moved up a little bit, and that's really been the key to allow him to run a tenth or a tenth and a half quicker than these guys every single lap. He's proven that this dynamic track works as Corbin Hemstree way up the racetrack and lets Washington through.
Yeah, big moment again for Corbin Hemstree. He has had his hands full in the later stages of this run. And yeah, David Washington and also David Comstock, they both have started moving up the groove in 1 and 2. Not so much down in turns 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, I've been watching both of them, and they're going into the corner about a half a groove higher than everybody else, and then turning the car down in the center of the corner, and it's really helping them get a good run off the corner. So they've figured out that rubber down on the bottom of the track is hurting them, and they've moved up a little bit, and now they're starting to make progress. By doing so, David Comstock has trimmed the lead down from a 4.9 second deficit down to 3.6, and he's climbed up to the 6th position, and David Washington is down to just 2.2 seconds, and he's in the 3rd position here as he is starting to set his sights now on Greg Evans. As they go down the back straightaway, he's trying to challenge for the 2nd position here as they go off into turn 3.
This could be a case of what might have been, Evan. You know, can you imagine if David Washington had come in during segment 2? I imagine there would be one less chase spot on points right now, because this young man has done everything right. I mean, he's looking at maybe having the car to go challenge Adam Benfield, and it's rare that we say that in this league to begin with, because of how good Benfield is in a nervous moment as Mitch Rollo trying to blend back in. Somehow everybody managed to get through, and actually Rollo headed into pit road, but yikes. I mean, this is how close it gets, and finally Washington taking over that 2nd spot. But to finish the thought, Evan, what might have been, he could have made the chase, just needed a few more starts.
Yeah, and that 98 made that pass that you were talking about 3 wide with that lap car on the bottom of the racetrack sliding up. He didn't panic though, Jacob. A lot of the time you'll see a guy slow on the apron, he'll push up, he'll turn the wheel to the right, you take the guy upside of you off, or you take both of you guys out. The 98, although he's new to RSR, again, he is no stranger to the sim. He's calm, cool, and collective in those pressure situations, and he just made a Greg Evans look like an easy pass. So he knows what he's doing. Now the big challenge is the gap between him and the top spot. Actually, Benfield
lead change. Adam Benfield, Evan, on pit road here at lap 127.
Yeah, Benfield coming down pit road. He's getting his cycle of pit stops kicked off, and typically when the leader is the first car to do it, you can expect everybody else to flood in.
Brian, let's cover the stop. This is the final one. It's the money stop for Benfield.
Yeah, Benfield was on pit road. He got his 4 fresh tires and fuel. They're going to get down and away and get back out on the racetrack. Now, David Washington, your 2nd place runner on the racetrack, he is down on pit road. He brought the number 99 of Dylan Jones to pit road with him. They're both coming down looking for 4 fresh tires and fuel. You cannot afford to give that race leader any time. Now that Adam has been on track or on pit road, you cannot stay out there. You're going to give up over a second a lap, and you cannot afford to give up that kind of time as David Washington gets his 4 tires. The left sides are up. He's waiting for the jack to drop. He's down and away, and he's going to get back out on the track.
14.1 for Adam Benfield, 14.5 for David Washington as David Comstock takes the lap 129 lead. We imagine these guys, Evan, will be in momentarily.
Caution. Trouble on the racetrack right in the middle of the cycle of pit stops. Going to slow things down. Trouble for the number 99 of Dylan Jones. He was coming off of pit road, guys, side by side with the driver on his inside, the 98 of David Washington. And therefore, he found himself a little bit higher up than he would have liked to. Gave it a little bit more wheel, spun on the apron, came back up, and somehow didn't get plowed by anybody else. But that caution flag is really going to throw a curveball into this thing. David Comstock going to come down pit road right now under the yellow flag as your race leader. Benfield, Rollo, Murray, and company, just to name a few, are now lap cars.
Yeah, we have 7 cars on the lead lap right now. Leaders are in, Brian, and for David Comstock, this may have just handed him the tie-breaking 4th win of the chase. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, David Comstock was getting nervous on the radio that his crew was keeping him out here on the track as long as they did. He was giving up valuable time with those old tires, but as it turns out, it pays off. He's on pit road now. He got his 4 tires. He's down and away. He's going to be your first car off pit road, and he's going to come back out as the race leader. And with only 7 cars on the lead lap, he's going to have a major advantage here. And this just threw such a wrench in this whole race. All the main leaders are now a lap down and are going to be out of the hunt for this win unless they get some wave arounds.
Well, they'll all take wave around. They're just going to have a lot of ground to make up. So Comstock now all of a sudden gifted with the lead, and we're going to cycle back through and see a ton of these guys pass in front of the leaders, and I want to see if we can't dial him up over the radio and see what we get here, because I imagine he's probably right now about as shocked as we are. Change that just went through here, and Evan, I want to see if we can dial him up, because this is very peculiar, I believe. David Comstock, it's the LSRTV broadcast booth. You mind telling us what's going through your head right now? I think we're as stunned as you are that you just ended up in the lead of this party.
Yeah, that's just racing at that point. Just caution falling into our lap on that. So we'll take it and just try to do what we can do from here on out.
You got the car to hold off. I know he was really good early. I mean, I don't know that we've seen everything you've got because you've been mired in traffic this whole race.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been taking care of the car. I scraped the wall off too once, trying to push too hard and catch the group that was for second. I think that's who was in front of us. The leader, Benfield, he was in his own zip code, I think. So I'm just biding my time, just taking care of the car and learning this new build that they put out with the dynamic track.
Are you happy with the new build? I know a lot of guys have said that it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really keeps you on your toes, and it gets you to really kind of search around. Even though the bottom here is so much preferred, to get you to search around different ways how to enter and exit the corners. So I like it. It's been real fun so far.
Lights out. We'll let you get to it. Good luck these last 40 laps.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the show.
All right, Evan, what do you make of that? He sounds as surprised as we are.
Yeah, and he knows that, something he said, it falls right into their lap. If you needed a win, and again, we talk about guys that they can still get into the bubble on points. It doesn't happen when you want it to, but sometimes that's part of racing. Although it's not by any means smooth sailing. Greg Evans, Corbett Himstreet, Dwayne Vincent, the next 3 cars behind him. Although he's grateful for it, might have to work a little bit harder now.
iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car heads for pit lane. Field in the hands of Comstock for the first time all night. The American Ethanol green flag back in the air at lap 136. American Ethanol, American made, American grown, powering NASCAR. Oh, trouble in turn number 1. Corbin Himstreet just drives through Greg Evans. Everybody's sideways. Somehow we stay green. Now the caution flag flies.
And it troubled behind them after that initial contact that brings out the caution flag down in 1 and 2. Car that goes around is the number 96 of Mitch Rollo. Mitch is going to get turned around by the 5. But guys, this is not the first time we've seen that happen. If you remember a little bit earlier on tonight, the 69 machine following the 23 into quarter number 1, Jacob, went way up the hill to let David Washington by. Well, he didn't really let him by. The 23 just got on the brakes much sooner than what Himstreet was doing, and that time with Himstreet being on the bottom, there was no evasive maneuver to be able to make to the outside of the racetrack. 23 comes down a little bit as well, and at that point there's nothing the 69 can do after they're committed. He gets chopped off a little bit. Both those cars save it, luckily. The contact behind them back in the pack from the checkup triggers the yellow.
Let's do some business and break this down when we come back. From Richmond International Raceway, this is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to LSR TV under caution with 40 laps to go here at the Richmond International Raceway. David Comstock, your leader. Chaos behind sends arguably the dominant car all night, Evan, to the pits with a lot of damage. Greg Evans, Corbin Hemstreet getting together. Evans got on the brakes sooner than what anybody behind him expected, and calamity ensued from there.
But how about the 13 now with Dwayne Vincent? Still not
where did he come from
on the season? Yeah, he's second. That 69 behind them. Can't count out Hemstreet, but Corbin does have a little bit of front-end damage. Could this make this a possibility for Dwayne Vincent in the last race of the regular season to get that win? If you're going to peak, doing it right before the chase doesn't hurt at all.
No, it doesn't. This is about to get good. We're far from over. The race's coming with 39 laps to go. Green flag in the air. Dwayne Vincent doesn't get a great restart. Corbin Hemstreet, meanwhile, does. Down to turn one, going for second. Gets a little bit loose, and I think Vincent may not quite have the momentum to clear him off turn number two. Now Hemstreet to the bottom of the racetrack and through. Oh, Dwayne Vincent around in three.
Up the track, and that's it. Hard into the outside wall. Caution flag is out. The 25, the 84, the 21. Slide on into it. The yellow flag is out, and, well, it's not meant to be, I guess, Jacob, for Dwayne Vincent. That 13 did a really good job of driving it into the corner in one. Didn't have the run out of the corner, and then the 2-car throws it in. That's Rhett McBride. How about Rhett McBride, though? 8th position on the start, up to 4th. He was doing good, and it's very difficult to chalk that up for anything other than a racing incident, Jacob. The 2 pretty much all the way down, a little bit off the line. Dwayne Vincent may not have seen him, may not have had enough time to react to him. It looked like Dwayne had it saved. Once he went to overcorrect that car, though, he shot up and hard in the fence.
And we're back under caution, Brian, and it's starting to look like the first part of this race did. We got green for a while in the middle, and then here we go again.
Well, time is running out for a lot of these drivers back there in the pack. The guys that need a win to get into the chase, they've got to start making things happen now. For these guys up at the front, for David Comstock, Corbin Hemstreet, Rich Jett, they all have their wins this year. They're all already in the chase. They don't have to worry about it. But for the rest of these guys back there through the field, they've got to try to make something happen and try to get to the front. And patience are running out, and tempers are starting to flare, and it's typical short track racing. You typically get a lot of cautions at the beginning, then a long green flag stretch, and then you get a caution that bunches them all back up towards the end, and then this is what happens for the end of the race. You have a restart, a caution, a restart, a caution, and it's part of it, but it's exciting racing. And for David Comstock, I'm sure he's loving it. This whole race is just fallen into his hands in the last 30 laps or so, with the caution coming out during green flag pit stops, and now these cautions just continuing to fly. It's certainly helping his chances to come home with another victory before this chase begins.
And I started to say 4th of the chase earlier, 4th leading into the chase. It would give him the most bonus points of any driver on the chase grid, Evan, and 3 points may not seem like a lot, but when you talk about how tight some of these elimination rounds were last year, 3 points could be the difference between moving on to round 2 after Dover and not being able to fight for a championship after Dover.
And if you're smart, you'll take those point standings, and as you go through those first 3 races, if I was that driver, I'd subtract 12 from it each time, because you don't want to race knowing that you have a 12-point advantage if you are to get 4 trips to victory lane. You can't race with it knowing that it's there, but it doesn't hurt to have it, as you said, because we've seen these things come down to the final couple of laps. That's why padding on these wins. And again, we talked to the drivers early in the year. They get a win in the first 5 weeks. They're good. They're essentially all the way through, again, only with 10 drivers inside the top 30 in points. Now, with a win, there's no risk of somebody with a win not making it as far as anybody that's competed all season long. So they get that win. You have 20-some-odd races maybe still to go before the chase. We ask them, well, it's, vacation to an extent. What are you going to do? Well, they can continue to race hard. And for the guys like Comstock with 3 wins and Thomas J. George or Greg Evans with 2 wins, those wins and continuing to apply the pressure, maybe taking some additional gambles, could very well pay off into that opening round. After the opening round, though, once you get into those first 3 races, you want to start adding more wins to help you out into the second round also. So it's never ending.
Yeah, Brian, by the way, we were talking about guys who want to add wins. Look at Rich Jett. He won at Daytona to ensure his spot in the chase and then kind of fell off the map. But the Godzilla 36 car. Where did he come from? He's in contention for a win in third.
Yeah, he has just had a quiet night, a quiet season, really, other than that win at Daytona. He's just been right there. He's been consistent. Hasn't been a hot rod or gone up there and led a lot of laps, but he's been consistent throughout the whole year, and now he's got a shot to get another one before this chase starts.
Yeah, he does, and he's lined up on the inside of row 2 with Adam Benfield behind him. This is about to get good for the restart. Hold on tight, everybody. Green flag back in the air. Corbin Hemstreet slides down in front of Rich Jet. Jet getting the run, getting a shove by Adam Benfield towards turn number 1. Hemstreet tries to slam the door. Jet says, no, thank you. Caution flag flies behind them.
Bunch of cars slowed up down in quarter number 2. It looks like the 48 of Kevin Linden, to an extent, got a piece of that one. It all happens, though, in front of him. The car that was the cause of the caution flag that got turned all the way around was the white machine in the middle of the corner. And it looks like another simple incident of just running out of space. Sean Casto did not see it. I don't think Nicholas Cohan on the inside, Jacob. He was side by side with the 96 already. Comes down on the 53, spins around, and tell you what, for being in the middle of all those cars, great job by everybody else for splitting high, splitting low, and keeping that one to a relatively minor accident.
Yeah, by the way, did we mention Adam Benefield's back up to 4th now in that 0-1 car? He's not out of this win yet with 30 laps to go. We're going to take what we hope is going to be our final commercial break, and we'll come back to finish this one and hopefully get some more green flag racing in a moment. From Richmond International Raceway, this is the Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
Welcome back to LSRTV. Coming up on the one to go signal. Not quite there yet, but David Comstock, the recipient of a well-timed caution that handed him the lead. He hasn't given it back since, and we've had a flurry of caution flags, Evan, as the field starts to double up behind the iRacing Ford first pace car. Oh boy, what have we had? 4 cautions in the last 17 laps, something like that?
And it's exactly what we saw at the beginning, and it's probably what we've seen for about 50% of the races that you see here. Cautions early because everybody's a little bit jittery, especially into tonight because of the dynamic tracks. Everybody kind of gets to calm down in the middle. Guys that maybe haven't qualified as high up as they would have liked kind of seeded their way through the field. Guys that maybe out-qualified their car on a race run fell back. Things were calm. Now we're going to see exactly what we saw in the start of the race, and that is quick, short spurts. You have to make a lot of them. That could be good news for David Comstock, is that if his car's not as good as the long run on these guys that have dominated the first 3 quarters of the race, he might not have to worry about that, but his job far from over. The restart going to be coming up here with 26 to go.
Yeah, and we were going to come to the green flag that time by, but we added a lap. They called off the restart from race control, so David Comstock, Corbin Hemstreet going to line up on the front row, and the third and fifth, I can't get over this, Evan. It's Jet Brett McBride. Who would have thunk that at Richmond of all places?
It is a bull ring, and it is a little bit of a gamble, and you know, the names that we talked about pretty much being a lock-in to have a strong run may not have come all the way to fruition. We'll see how this one works through with Comstock and Hemstreet on the front row. Pace car getting out of the way.
Yeah, and with good reason. Green flag back in the air. Here comes the 36 of Rich Jet, rather. Benfield right down to the bottom, going to try to shove Rich Jet through to second. Hemstreet up top. Jet coming as Comstock gets away by 5 car lengths. They finally sort it out. We make it to the back straightaway under green.
Green for the moment. Good news, the 14, he's able to get well through and clear, though. Fight for second is on. 69 looks to the bottom. Lower than that, look at Adam Benfield. He'll break early, but a gutsy move. He wants third.
He wants the win is what he wants. He came over the radio and told me before we went back green, Hemstreet in the wall back straight away, and Benfield gets through, and he said he wants to win this race. He's not losing it. He knows he has the best car, and he's proven it.
Well, this is not good. Behind right here for third, we got 2, 3 wide, multiple rows deep around P7. And to make it work for now, the 69 to 96, the Brave Souls up top, 94, 99, 5 and 23 down low. A whole lot going on inside the top 10.
Yeah, Brian, we're getting down to crunch time, coming up on 20 laps to go. Can Benfield get there? You think he's got enough laps left if we stay green?
If he gets around Rich as soon as possible, which it looks like he might do here as he makes a move to the inside as they go off into turn number 3. If he can get clear of Rich Jet in a hurry, he's got plenty of time. He's got one of the best cars on track. He might be the fastest car here tonight, as now he's cleared a second. He sets his sights, and we have a
caution flag flies. The 43 goes around Doug Roth. Yellow out at lap 159, I think they're going to score it officially, so we're going to have about 21 to go, maybe 15 to go or so when we get the green flag back, and that's big for Benfield. He was cleared a second by the time the caution flag came out, Evan, so he's going to restart on the front row of this one.
Give a quick call as well to the 43 for the throwback paint scheme, but Doug Roth not obviously what he wanted. That car with troubles down in quarter number 4. He got hit, got turned by the 21, and that's not the first time tonight that 21 of Matt Lacrosse has struggled with the handling on that car at a quarter number 4. Unfortunately for the 87 of Hurlow and the 84 of Jimmy North, as they had nowhere to go, and they as well got collected in that one. And that may be as long as a stint you see at the end of this race. Comstock looking to pit road. Do we mix it up with 20? No, he jumps out, barely avoids the tire bearers, and it looks like Rich Jet, David Washington, everybody else going to dive at a pit road as well. Comstock knew he was a sit and duck. Jacob tried to fake somebody out, or he just jumped out after he saw that somebody else back there had no intentions. He almost drove right into those water barrels, though, but he stays out there, and he'll continue to run in the race lead. That was a big question all night. If we get a late race caution, do they come down pit road? The 14 may have wanted to, but circumstances will prevent him from doing so.
How about our iRacing 20 to go here at Richmond International Raceway? David Comstock, the leader, on a lucky break, and Evan now, he leads Adam Benfield, and I don't know that he's got the best car. These two, it's like Clash of the Titans on this front row for the restart. I have no idea what we're going to see.
I'll tell you what, it's funny how these things work out. We saw earlier that Adam Benfield, right now second on the racetrack, he got cut off, Jacob, a couple of times earlier in this race after running inside the top 5. No big deal, though, that door got shut down into quarter number 1 a couple of times because it was lap 25, but it said you might get away with doing that to Adam Benfield now. You're not going to get away with doing that to Adam Benfield in the final 25 laps. Comstock better hope that he gets a hell of a good restart, and he better hope that Rich Jet on the inside of row number 2 puts up a fight with the 01, because if Benfield gets a door shut on him or a block thrown on him, that already happened earlier tonight, I don't expect much patience for that from the driver of the 01 car.
I don't either, and Brian, this could be a defining night for David Comstock. Not only are you looking to break the streak that Eric Brundy's has set at this place, but, you know, for Comstock, he needs momentum going into the chase. It's been, you know, solid for the last 6 races or so, but he'd really like some momentum. This would be one whale of a way to get it done.
Yeah, that's what everybody in this chase field is looking for to kick off the chase, is a little bit of momentum. And for David Comstock, and even for Rich Jet, he hasn't had the best year. He's been consistent, but he hasn't been a front runner. This could be a momentum builder for a guy like Rich Jet, being able to have a good run, good finish here tonight. He didn't have the speed that he was looking for in practice and qualifying, but he's up there with a shot to get a win, or at least a very solid finish. And that's what you need coming out of tonight, the momentum and the confidence that you can go out there and contend for this championship. The next 10 weeks is going to be the most grueling 10 weeks of the entire season, especially with the elimination format that we use now. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be really, really crazy to watch.
It really is, and I think the way all these crashes, Evan, have shaken out tonight, I don't know that you're ultimately going to see any changes in the race point standings as far as the 16 drivers in, because most of those contenders that needed good finishes got taken out early tonight.
Yeah, and even if those guys get taken out, the guys that they're chasing get taken out, nobody is able to go up or down anywhere, because not a whole lot of people have gotten through this one scot-free. I'll tell you what, though, the pace car's going to get down and away. That's 16 laps to go. Not a whole lot of time left to do continuous sets of 4 per caution. We'll see how it shakes out, though.
Yeah, here we go. Benfield, Comstock, green flag. Rhett McBride spins the tire. Just falls back. It's going to allow Benfield and Jet slot in behind the 14. We head down to turn 1. The top 4 head down single file. First battle for 5th and 6th between the 2 of Rhett McBride, the 1 of Thomas George. They sort it out quickly, and Benfield's going after the lead.
The side-by-side for P6, 7, 8 and company, but all eyes up at the front of the field. Benfield right in the tire tracks of Comstock. Looks to the inside and 1. The 14 doesn't bother to shut the door. Will go side-by-side for the race lead on each other's door at a 2.
Here goes the battle down the back straightaway. Which Jet gets turned down to the inside? Caution flag is out at lap 166. Jet pounds the inside safer barrier hard, and we're yellow with 14 laps to go. The 36 socked it on the back stretch.
Big trouble, and the 01 machine visibly upset over the audio over there with the replay, because the did not, Jacob, have a nose in front of the number 14 machine at the point of caution. Get cleared down in 1 and 2, and you saw it live from high above. Maybe 1 second later, and Benfield would have had a nose. Caution, though, is going to hold him at 2nd for yet again another restart. And this one's going to come now. The next green flag going to be within 10 laps to go as you take a look at the replay. I said on that one with 16 to go, every time you get a caution, you're losing laps in 4-lap groups. That's really, really hurting that 01, and it looked like he had it. You have to attribute, though, David Comstock, although he didn't shut the door on the 01 into the corner, he made a hell of a drive through 1 and 2 to stay up top. That's why he's in the race lead still.
Has anybody noticed Derek Brundy's is back up to 5th, Brian? I mean, the drive for 4 in a row is not over, but the way these cautions have been flying, unless the leaders wreck, I don't think it's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be coming to an end tonight, unfortunately, for Eric Brundy's, but he's still having a very solid finish, or a solid run thus far, and he's not out of the hunt, like you said. If Comstock and Benfield get into it up here and they collect David Washington and Rhett McBride, we could see Eric Brundy sneak by and steal this thing. And stranger things have happened, so I'm not going to count that out. But right now, he's probably just looking to come home with a good finish. He's had a long night. He took a couple of gambles staying out on old tires where they didn't pay off, and I don't blame him for that, though. You've got to learn with this new build and this new dynamic surface and the way all this new stuff is working. You got to take your chances now. Do it now while you don't have to worry about being eliminated from around in the chase. He knows he's in the chase. Go ahead and take your chances now. Learn what you need to learn, and then that way you don't make those mistakes next week when we start the chase.
All right, Evan, if I forced you to pick now, we're going to have a restart with about 9 laps to go. Are you taking the 14, the 01, or the field?
I'll have to ask you to clarify the question. Is this a prediction if we have contact, or are we not allowed to use the bumper?
We're allowed to use whatever gets the win, Evan. It's Richmond. Come on.
I'm liking the 01 at Benfield, and David Washington's fast, but the 98 really made up the bulk of his time on the long run. The restart is going to determine this, though. If Washington stays to the inside of the 01, I think David Comstock wins this race. It does give Washington a shot, though, at second, if not doing something with the 14. But if we see a restart, anything like we saw last time, Adam Benfield got to the inside, and he saw it slip away. I don't think he'll let that happen again, and this one, again, going to be inside 10 laps to go. You know how badly he wants this on this deal here that he's riding with at the end of the year.
Brian, if Benfield and Comstock make enough contact, can the 98 of David Washington get through to win this race?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think he might be involved in that contact as well. He's aggressive. He wants to get a win to prove that he is a contender in this series and can be a championship contender next year in this series. And I think he's going to do what he needs to do to try to get the win here tonight. I'm still not counting out Eric Brundy's. I feel like we could have ourselves a 4-car pileup and he could come out and get his 4th win in a row.
Oh, boy. You're opening up a lot of can of worms right there, my friend. And lights go out on the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. I think we're about to see the most exciting 9 laps of the entire season to date, Evan. I don't know what you're thinking, but this is going to get good. Get the popcorn.
You know, kidding, and I don't know if we're going to have to stay seated any longer. There's still 16 drivers on the lead lap. You mentioned if the contact's hard enough, if, you know, a guy like a David Washington still has a chance. Again, Brundy is still there in 5th. Who knows what's going to happen? Pace car down and away. We'll have 9 laps to go.
Yeah, Comstock gets away well. Benfield not able to challenge, and that's going to open the door for David Washington in the 98. Green flag back in the air with 9 laps to go, and now Benfield in trouble. He's going to lose that number 2 position. Hung on the outside. Comstock may have just been gifted the win on that restart.
The run down the back going to give the 01 P2 yet again, but trouble behind them. Caution flag is out into the inside wall. The 42 car, the Exalta Chevrolet of Scott Stenzel, turned around and back and first into the wall. Not the cause of this one, though. More troubles in 1 and 2 for the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. Hemstreet, again, driving it in way harder than anybody else. Locks him up, gets sideways in front of the 42, and that causes Stenzel to go around after contact from the 25.
All right, so now we're going to have a restart with about 3 laps to go, kids. And, you know, then it's once the green flag comes out, the next flag ends the race. Brian, is Comstock in the catbird seat now?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It took Adam about 2 laps just to be able to make that move on him when he was actually able to get to his inside, and David's not going to give him that option this time. David opened the door and let him go to the inside in turn 1 when they got side by side the last time. This time, I promise you, David will throw a block or be more aggressive and try to keep Benfield from being able to make that move to the inside, and it's not going to be as simple for Adam. David was taking it easy there because he didn't want to get wrecked, but now you're going to have a restart with 3 laps to go. You know that this is the last race before the chase to get bonus points. You got to go for it. You got to do everything you can to try to win this race.
Comstock, I told you, he wants those bonus points badly, and, you know, still the top 5 remains unchanged, and there's nobody in the mix now until you get to Nick Cohan in 12th that even has a prayer of, you know, that's the first driver that could use a win to sneak into the chase. So you're not going to see that line move up, Evan, and that's a really big sigh of relief for somebody like a Steve Gottschalk, one of those guys that was right on the bubble coming into tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, this all changed with the absence of Chad Cole in that chase grid into tonight, which gave some drivers that didn't have a chance outside of only getting a win a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel as far as hopes to try to get into this one on points. Sometimes it stings a little bit more, Jacob, to find out an hour before the race that, okay, now you really have a shot at this, and then to come up short, you might have just kind of wanted to not know that information and to just have to settle, swallow it, and take it. But it's a part of racing, it's a part of this Chase Championship, which is what makes the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series so unique, and the fact that we run so many races and we do a full-length chase for the championship, something you don't even see in things like the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Oh, yeah, and that's what's going to make this so competitive all the way down to the wire. And, you know, for Evan, you've been up here the entire season. Brian's been up here with us for almost half of it now. And, you know, we've seen some of the most intense racing this season that we've ever seen in this series. I mean, the depth of field has been incredible. The drivers fighting to get in the chase, the storylines, the first-time winners. I mean, could either of you, Evan, you can go first, could either of you have predicted the amount of different stories we'd have seen this season to date?
I think you can predict them, but you don't think it's actually going to happen. I predicted that Adam Benfield is going to win this race, but that might not actually happen. You know that it's going to be exciting because, as you said, the format and the competitiveness in this season, and in this series for that matter, only gets higher and higher every single time a year goes by. But there's times in individual races, Jacob, as the lights go on for the pace car, where you have storybook scripts in this where you got two drivers that are going for it. You'll have 4 races in a row where you get a first-time winner nearly every single week for an entire month. The things that you know are possible, but sometimes you couldn't script them any better, and that's what we've seen so far this year, and we're only going to continue to see those stories now with 10 races to go after tonight and 10 of the most important ones.
Absolutely right. There are 10 races to determine a champion. Right now, we've got 3 laps to determine a winner. Once the green flag flies, because there's no green-white checker provision in the iRacing sim, the next flag ends the race. So this is it. They're stacked up. Comstock to the green, and we are back underway. 3 laps to settle it as the top 3 ride single file. Adam Benfield knows if you need to make a move, you got to go now. They're 3 wide back behind off turn number 2. Caution flag out. That's it.
Thomas J. George sideways in the middle of 3 wide, 2 rows deep. He goes up the fence into the wall. Comstock had the jump on the restart. He'll take the yellow and the popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go that time by, barring any catastrophic failure in the sim. As you take a look at the replay right now under this caution flag, David Comstock going to get a win at the end of the regular season at Richmond.
How about that? What a run for David Comstock. It's going to be his 4th win of the season and the 5th of his career in this series. You know, he's just got to go for another 1.5 miles now, and you see the replay, but for David, Brian, that all came on the restart as the yellow and white flags are now in the air. So, you know, he won this race on the restart. That was what sealed it.
Yeah, and what an incredible season David has had all year long. He's been one of the front runners every single week. He gets a couple of wins early on, and now he's got this win going into the chase. Huge momentum boost for him and the rest of his team, and he's going to be able to carry this into the chase. And I definitely think David Comstock is one of your main championship contenders. I think you'll definitely see him in the Final Four this year.
And he works off turn number 4. A big night, the caution and checkers. David Comstock doesn't care how he gets it, just that he gets there first. He's the first 4-time winner of the 2015 season, and he'll be the points leader heading into the chase for the Full Throttle Cup, the Monster Energy Chevrolet. A winner at Richmond, Adam Benfield second after dominating the middle stages of this race, but the man who got the caution when it counted is in victory lane. And Evan, you know, it doesn't get much better than that. The championship leader is the man with all the cards headed to Chicago next week.
Funny how things work out at times, and that means you're going to have a driver with 4 wins, a driver with 3, a driver with 2, a whole lot of drivers with 1, and a fair amount of drivers with none. That means that round 1, as he celebrates and burns it down, although they're quote-unquote starting a new season, things aren't necessarily an even playing field going into round number 1, which should make those first 3 races very interesting given the variance of bonus points going to be being handed out.
Comstock burning it down on the front stretch. We'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Right now, these words from Richmond International Raceway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing, back with the post-race show after this.
Did you know the lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the Wild Kingdom look much better indeed. Do good. Be a lion.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into small cells that your car interacts with. So if you're adding temperature to a certain part of the track, we can pretty accurately know exactly where that is. That gets transmitted to the server. So if I'm in a race, my data is going to the server with everybody else in the session. The server accumulates that and basically broadcasts a consistent track state to everyone, so everyone's got the same track that they're racing on. One of the big challenges was being able to implement this dynamic track with any number of clients connected and have it just work as you would expect. Have it be the same for everyone in the service who's in a session. So to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the state of things right now, I basically have run a number of laps at 5 flags with the effects exaggerated for demonstration purposes so that we can kind of immediately see what's going on with the track. Right here is basically the track at the beginning of the session. There is a little bit of rubber on there that's put programmatically. That's the starting state of this track, and it's fairly low rubber at this point. If we skip ahead to the end, I did about 30 laps, so at the very end, you can kind of see all this darkened in right here. This is where I was running the car, so, well, there you go. And again, this is exaggerated. A single car in 30 laps is not going to darken the track anywhere near this level. We also have the ability to see the temperature, similar to an IR camera. At the beginning of the session, it's a little bit warm down here. It's very cool up here. As we skip ahead, all of a sudden, this part of the track has become very warm. This is where I was running the car. And we can also drag the little thumbnail and see the effect of time as the track cools off and returns back to its equilibrium state. Before we had fairly symmetrical tracks. Now, because the sun is shining at some angle, one side of the track might be particularly hot, and 180 degrees around the track is going to be significantly cooler because the sun isn't really pointing at that. So you're on a track where maybe you basically treated it as 2 equal halves. Now you need to adjust to that. With multiple cars over a long race, you're going to have to seek out where's the grip, where is it going, how is the track changing. It's going to require a much more intelligent approach to racing. You're going to have to be able to handle the track through the life of the race. So in addition to temperature and rubber, we're also spending a lot of time working with marbles, putting them on the track where they should be. Later in a race, you can expect there to be marbles offline, and so a pass might be a little more sketchy later in the race because you're going to have to go through part of the track that has accumulated some rubber. On the oval side, if you want to venture out into, say, the outside line and nobody's been there yet, you can expect to find marbles there. I expect that the track becoming dynamic means that during a race, temperature is going to go up significantly and the grip is going to respond negatively. You will want to be anticipating that, seeking out cooler parts of the track, taking a slightly higher line for a while, testing out, is it faster up here? I fully expect it's going to break up the field. Cars are going to be trying new things. You won't be able to just take a qualifying setup and make a tiny change and then be able to run the same laps over and over. It's going to just become a much more dynamic and unpredictable experience. As significant as this first implementation is in creating a...
Welcome back to LSRTV, processing the fallout from Richmond, the finale of the regular season for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. Jacob Seelman, Brian Macklin, and Evan Pasoko getting ready to go trackside. First, though, Evan, a caution flag ends this race, but the story was the caution flag that handed David Comstock the lead at lap, I believe it was 130, right in there, and he never gave it back after that. Led the final 51 laps, 52 laps to victory lane, despite a whole host of challenges.
He led those final 52 laps every time at the start-finish line, but he did not have the fastest nose on the race car, I guess. He did not have the nose in front every single time. Adam Benfield, just as so David Comstock. You know, we talk about strategy. We talk about, you know, how much more strategy and how much more is put into the driver's hands here, Jacob, with these dynamic tracks. But the top two were determined based on just luck of the draw. Comstock, as you mentioned, gets that top spot from the drop of the caution flag, which could have came at any moment. He gets to the top spot in that. And then Adam Benfield, where if you get a follow-up caution there 1 second later, 5 seconds earlier, he's in front of David Comstock, but it falls when it keeps the 14 in front. Sometimes if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Just not tonight, though. And, you know, it wasn't meant to be for a couple of guys tonight. One of those fast guys late in the race was David Washington. He's down trackside right now with our Brian Macklin.
Yeah, I've caught up with third-place finisher, driver the number 98, David Washington, and I'm going to start by asking you about the new dynamic surfaces. Of course, that was the biggest story of the night. The first race here with RSR, with the dynamic racetracks, the dynamic surface, and the rubber buildup. What are your thoughts on that after having completed the first race with this new build?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I really didn't venture on the outside too much, so I really couldn't tell you about the outside. I had to try to do all my passes on the inside, but I mean, it rubbered up good. I mean, it didn't have any issues from entry to center. A little sluggish off, I think, because of the amount of grip. But overall, it was great.
And of course, you did not qualify for this year's chase because you joined the season very late into the year, so you cannot contend for the championship this year, but certainly looking to make a stand and show these guys that you can be a contender for next year. Looking forward to the next 10 races while the rest of those guys are battling for a championship. What are your plans to try to get up there and win as many races as you can?
I think for the rest of the season, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the show and just put in my seat time and come back next season strong and just see if I can go for it.
And of course, we fully expect you to be able to do that. You've been very strong week in and week out since you joined the Full Throttle Cup Series. And real quick, before I do let you go, I want to give you a chance to give your sponsors a shout out. Any friends or family back at home you need to talk to?
Yeah, I definitely want to thank Stroke Races for letting us come on board here so late in the season. I've had a lot of fun with Jones, Eric. It's been fun. You guys for putting the show on. Last Place Motorsports. Congrats to Dave, Adam. They had a heck of a run tonight. I didn't have anything for him at the end there. The car was just a dog, but I'm definitely looking forward to next season, and hope you guys will have me back, and I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right, thank you, David. Congratulations on your third place finish tonight, and we will catch up with you again next week. That was the driver of number 98, David Washington. Now we are moving a little bit further down pit road, where Evan Pasoko caught up with a man that was about a half a bumper away from possibly coming home with a victory. Evan is caught up with Adam Benfield.
We've caught up on a pit lane with the driver of the 01 car, Adam Benfield, is going to be a second-place finish tonight at Richmond International Raceway. Adam, congratulations on the good run, but we know so badly that you wanted a little bit more out of it. We saw some fun racing with you early in this race, and you took a peek a couple of times on the inside of some of the Boomtown Sim cars. They shut the door, and I made note that you can get away with that in the first 25, not the last 25. So you went toes-to-toes with David Comstock, went to the inside, you got there, and then a caution flew when he had maybe a tire length on you. Walk us through really that entire final 50 laps of this race where Comstock went to the lead and you were trying to find a way through it.
Well, first off, the guys at Radius Motorsports, they put together a hot rod. I mean, that thing was on a freaking rail tonight, and it showed on that long green flag run. I mean, hands down, car to beat. But it's looking back on it, it's very disappointing. It's second, yes, that's awesome for the team, awesome, for everybody involved. But it's really disappointing to have such a dominant car like that, and we can't finish a race under green because we have to try to dive bomb from 20 car lengths back to battle for a freaking 21st or whatever happened. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But he got the lead, and we got caught up on pit road under green flag pit stops, got trapped a lap down. Should have stayed out one more lap, would have been a different story, I think. And we were money on restarts, getting through the gears. I mean, the thing was just, hands down all around, it was just a hot rod. And I don't really know what's up with Boomtown. I mean, I don't know how many brakes I got to cut, to that team before you start giving a little bit of respect back. But, chopped my nose the last time. I drove it down in there on one, and he went up. I guess he got in a wall. If he did, sorry about his luck. You don't race people like that, especially when you're supposed to be affiliated with them. But, this is a good race. Second race out with Jacob and the crew. I feel like, we got things going. This is going to be a team that's going to, take over next year. And with Ryan and Dwayne, we're done playing games. We're about to get serious, and Dwayne's going to cap this championship off, and we're going to do our best. I hope he does, and next year I'm going to come back, and we're going to be ready to go. We ain't taking no prisoners.
You look forward to 2016. You get your third top five in 2015 here tonight. What's the plan for you guys for the rest of this 2015 season, not being a part of the championship as far as on-track action?
I'm here to get wins, and that's a fair warning for the rest of the field. Race for a championship, that's fine, but, I'm here to get wins. It might sound cocky, might sound like a jerk. I don't care. I'm here to get wins, and that's what Jacob put me in the car to do. And we're just gearing up and giving a little appetizer for what's going to happen next year.
Before we let you go, the Dynamic Track's big storyline into tonight's race. Visibly, we can see the difference on the track from the start to finish. What was it like from behind the wheel?
It's bringing the driver back. It's taking the hot lappers out. You're going to have to know what to do. You're going to have some kind of common sense of how to drive a race car. And in real life, it brings more real life experience into the sim. You got to know when to slow your pace down, when the tires fall off. The tires are huge fall off with this build, which is awesome. I think it's playing right into some of the guys that have a little bit of real world experience hands, and it's going to take the hot lappers out. And I love it. I think it's right up my alley, and looking forward to next year.
A force to be reckoned with for sure, Adam. And again, a strong finish for you guys. Not what you wanted going for the win, but a good showing nonetheless. And many drivers, I'm sure, taking notice after that. Before we let you go, sponsors, shout out to all of those good people. I know you mentioned a couple of them. Who powers that 01 car?
Racer Chaser Online. They are main deal. Go check them out. LSRTV, y'all do a great broadcast over here. Top notch. Better than the rest. And Roll Speed Dynamics is my personal sponsor. They've been with me since day one, and all my boys over back at my Impasse camp, APC, they back me and keep me going. But and my mom, for keeping my twins so I can get in here and play on the sim.
Well, Adam, always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for sticking around again. Congratulations, strong run, and best of luck for the rest of 2015 here, and exciting things to come. We're sure we'll see a lot of good racing out of that 01 car. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, both.
So that is your second place finisher, up 2 spots to second, but not what he wanted. Adam Benfield will settle for bridesmaid tonight at Richmond International Raceway. Meanwhile, down in the virtual Gatorade Victory Lane, Jacob Seelman, you've caught up with our winner for the 4th time this year, David Comstock, the first one across the stripe, and you're with him.
It was a wild night, but it was a caution flag that made all the difference for the Monster Energy Chevrolet, and David Comstock is now the outright leader, headed into the chase for the Full Throttle Cup, and led the final 52 laps, David, but you almost lost it in that battle with Adam there, about 10, 12 laps to go. You hang on, though. How big is this 4th win of the season?
Yeah, we hung on. Appreciate Adam racing me clean. I thought he got by me that one caution with about 10 to go, but I guess we crossed the timing loop, to where it placed me still ahead of him, because it looked like he had a fender on me. So that was unfortunate on his part. He had a fast, dominant car all night. We just happened to get in the right position and not get caught behind the leaders when they short pitted and staying out and waiting for that. We just happened to caution to fall in our lap. And it's really important for us to be able to just be on top right away for the chase, and just being able to assert ourselves there, and we hope to keep ourselves there throughout the whole way.
This was a wild night. First night with the dynamic track. It looked like it really changed a lot of the racing. I know we saw a few more cautions tonight, some people getting gutsy, but you were able to move the line around a lot tonight. What was it like from the driver's seat? It looked, when you could get that green flag run in the middle of the race, like it was a lot of fun to drive tonight.
Yeah, it kept you on your toes. It really, you couldn't change your line too much as far as running through the center of the corner. You were stuck to run on the bottom. There's really not much grip anywhere, maybe half a lane higher than where everyone was running, pretty much. If you got side by side, the guy on the inside still had an advantage. I mean, you can get a good run off the corners if you got a good cut through the center. But you can only really, at least with this track here, you can only kind of play around with your entry and exit as far as how you go in and coming out of the corners. But I enjoyed it. It was real fun to see who had sustainability and who was able to be fast, and then if they're able to keep their speed through the runs or not.
You kept your speed when it counted and pick up the win. You break Eric Brundy's 3-race streak here at Richmond, and you top the regular season points due to some trouble by Dwayne Vincent tonight to actually carry a 17-point margin unofficially at the end of the regular season. So you're the best through 23, and now it's time to be the best through 10. I know none of that's possible without some help and support. Who powers the number 14 machine?
We'd like to thank Monster Energy and Garry Mercer Trucking for being on our cars every single week, and we look forward to representing them throughout these last 10 races going on to the chase, and as well as the team, Timmy Hill Motorsports and Aftermath Motorsports, my main team that allows me to come over here and do this every single week. And thank you to Real Sim Racing for running the league and providing this championship for us to go after. And thank you to you guys here at LSRTV for broadcasting every single race for us.
And the final margin now, as we just get the updated numbers, the math says 19 points. David Comstock over Dwayne Vincent in the regular season standings. They each have 12 top 5s, 16 top 10s, but Comstock's 4 wins, the bonus points, make the difference. And Evan, he tops those 23 race standings. Now we reset and go on for 10. Let's take a look at the final results here from Richmond.
As always, talk to the top 3 finishers tonight from Richmond International Raceway. Comstock finishes atop the pile. Adam Benfield in second, and David Washington through third. Rhett McBride is able to sneak away with a P4 at the end, and Dylan C. Jones, quiet late and quiet for a lot of it, but it wasn't quiet from behind the wheel. 21 cars he passed on a route to a top 5 tonight. Eric Brundy's not able to go 4 in a row, starts 6th, and has to settle for 6th at the end of the night. Dan Murray comes home with a 7th place finisher. Pole sitter Greg Evans back in 8th. A 9th finish for the number 92 of Sean Casto. And Mitch Rollo rounds out your top 10.
Finishing in the 11th position was Nick Silver. Nicholas Cohan is going to come home in the 12th position. Your Daytona winner and one of your chase contenders, Rich Jett, is going to finish in the 13th position. Kevin Linden's going to finish 14th. And the last car on the lead lap here tonight, another chase contender, that's Thomas George. Then you have a line of the RCO Boomtown drivers. Corbin Hemstreet finished 16th, 2 laps down. Anthony DeBarro finished 17th, 2 laps down. And then the remainder of these drivers here in the top 20 all finished out, or did not finish the race, I apologize. Christopher Hurlow finished 12 laps down in 18th. Jimmy North finished 19th, 13 laps down. And Dwayne Vincent finished 20th, 15 laps down.
21st position in this one, Paul Fugate, tough night, is able to come home at the end of it all, but did not race for a lot of the middle portion of that. Had some troubles with the BeAlion.org number 45 Chevrolet. Comes home 21st, 22nd though to the 21 Matt Lacrosse, who had a lot of issues throughout the night down in quarter number 4. Chad Cole's going to walk away with a 23rd place finish, withdrawing from the chase for the championship as of tonight. 24th position to Scott Silney, Doug Roth with a P25. Daniel E. Eberhardt in 25th spot. It was a P26 for him. Steve Gottschalk 27. 28th to Ryan Vaughn. Scott Stenzel in 29th after getting caught up in a couple of incidents down the back straightaway tonight. And then rounding out our top 30 again, Brian, was Brendan Mercer.
Yeah, the last few cars in the field here all also finished out of the race. Douglas Wyatt finished 31st. Thomas Lattimore finished 32nd. Jonathan Cadell finished 33rd. And Shyler Brown finished 34th and was your last car here in this field. And what an incredible night we had. And Jacob, I believe we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up.
We are going to, but first, let's go through the 16 drivers that will chase a championship. Coming up in 1 week's time at Chicagoland, David Comstock going to be the top seed in the chase by virtue of 4 wins ahead of Thomas George, who had 3. Greg Evans, the only other multiple winner that's going to be chasing with 2 wins. Those are your top 3 seeds. Then, tied for 4th in the standings, going to be Eric Brundy's, Dan Murray, Jeff Ward, Corbin Hemstreet, Mitch Rollo, Rich Jett, Anthony DeBarro, Christopher Hurlow. That's 11 different winners that are going to be chasing the title. 5 drivers are in on points. Those drivers, Dwayne Vincent, Jonathan Cadell, Nick Silver, Brennan Mercer, and Steve Gottschalk unofficially on a tiebreaker with Nicholas Cohan, but 2 top 5s for Gottschalk. Going to be the best finish of the season that should break that tie. Cohan with 5 top 10s, but no top 5 efforts to his name. And, you know, we talk about how close is it. 1 point can sometimes make the difference, and Gottschalk has just enough. Scott Simley, two places out of the chase, Evan. He was 1 point back of Gottschalk and Cohan. So unofficially, Steve Gottschalk, the 16th and final driver, chasing a championship. Unreal.
And that one point or even that tie can come down to less than 1 position, really, in a race at any point in tonight or the 22 previous races that we have run before tonight. And again, the guys up at a booth in the tower are going over the points, and they're taking a look at the drivers of Dan Murray and Steve Gottschalk, and they're attempting to make a determination based on what they're currently seeing at the bottom of your chase grid. So we'll pass things over very quickly to Brendan Mercer. Brendan Mercer caught up with race control up here in the LSRTV booth. Brendan, some interesting things going on at the bottom of the chase grid. Let us know what you guys are taking a look at.
We're just looking at some things here. No foul play or anything like that. We're just looking at it. Fortunately, there's a tie between, well, unfortunately, it's just great racing, I guess, and good luck. But Mr. Gottschalk and Mr. Cohan are both tied right now, with the tiebreaker going to Gottschalk. But Dan Murray claimed the caution at the end, which would send him back to the tail end of the lead lap. Cohan was on the lead lap, so he would gain 1 more position, pushing Cohan up. So we're gonna review, take the night to sleep on it, review over, and kind of, we might have like a Jeff Gordon situation. We might not. We're still gonna talk amongst the mins here and see what's going on between and see what we come up with.
All right, well, we'll let you guys get back to the drawing board. Brendan, again, thanks for sticking around and chat with us, and congratulations to yourself as well.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for all you guys, what you do.
So, Jacob, that's the latest from the control tower at Richmond. One spot should go in favor of Cohan via a claim caution at the end, but that is not represented in the unofficial standings. Things.
So we wait.
You were talking about storylines; they're still not done.
No, they're not done. We talk about it, and you've seen it throughout the night. We'll continue to follow up on this. Race Chaser Online going to have more information as the next few hours go on. As soon as we get official information on the final chase standings, whether we have 16, 17, we will pass it along and get the word out through both RCO and through the Real Sim Racing website and Facebook page. Until then, though, what a night in Richmond. Congratulations to David Comstock. His 4th win of the season puts him atop the heap headed to Chicagoland. He wins the regular season. He now leads chasing a championship. Comstock, your winner tonight in Richmond. For Brian Macklin, Evan Pasoko, Brennan Mercer, John Abbott, all the guys at RSR, and Laura Lawson, our executive producer, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. We're going chasing next week in the Windy City. Until then, good night.